It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. This week I have in with me Watchers of the Fallen. And they are, well, you guys list yourselves as alternative, but I kind of, personally, after listening to your stuff, I kind of put you more in the experimental, almost psychedelica type setting. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can live with experimental.
Okay, well, there's not a lot of not a whole lot of experimental bands out there. Everybody's going for the whole, we have to sound like those guys. I'm guessing the intent behind what you guys are doing, that wasn't what you wanted.
No, I didn't really want to sound like anybody else, if that's possible. And we've succeeded to a large extent, I think.
I would have to agree after listening to some of your songs and stuff. And we're going to do that. We're going to talk about a couple of tracks and share them with everybody else and kind of get to know you. So before we start, how about if we do it with introductions? I'll let you lead off.
My name is Samson.
And my name's Hunter.
All right. And Samson, what do you do for the Watchers exactly?
I play a little backup guitar, and I sing some vocals, and sometimes I just make racket in the background, you know.
Okay, so racket player. I don't think I've heard that one before.
We just wing it, man. Whatever happens, we go with the flow. Sometimes it works. 75 times it doesn't. But, hey, that one track is worth it, you know.
All right, and what about you?
I play guitars and write songs.
So you do most of the songwriting then?
Yeah.
For the two of you. So, and it is just the two of you, which, who does percussion? Is that just kind of...
I've got an old set of drums in the basement, but the little bit of percussion we put in there is really simple, and it's mostly just a guitar and a mic. Mostly. Yeah. I got a bass recently, so that's starting to work its way in.
Oh, so we're adding more instruments as we go and just kind of putting a little bit more into it.
Definitely evolved from the cave acoustics we started with, definitely. We were very primitive early on, and the equipment got better. We got to where we could edit. Used to, we just ad-lib and see if it worked, and now we can, run things differently. It's evolving.
We started out singing through an old guitar amp.
Hey, if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. Well, how did you do the early recording then?
We just had a simple Tascam handheld recorder is how we started off, but we're getting more equipment, and it's sounding better all the time. I do have a high-ceiling living room, so it's got an interesting acoustic to it. I like that from the beginning.
All right, so a little bit of environment, a little bit of the instrumentation, and it's kind of come about. The original concept behind what you guys were going to do was it really an intent to be a band, or
no,
just to mess
first
around?
It was just picking guitars together, and then we just started writing songs to crack each other up. And when the idea of putting an album together came along, we started getting a little more serious, but I really wasn't planning on printing out more than 6 or 8 CDs when we first got going, but some people seemed to like it, so we just kept pressing on.
Well, now, how long have you guys been working together making music?
Jamming? 10. Maybe working on this?
Well,
probably 3 or 4,
I'd
yeah.
say maybe 3 years.
Okay, so as Watchers of the Fallen, maybe about 3 or 4 years, but you guys have been playing together a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, every now and then we'll get in a groove, and we'll just ride the wave, and both of us, it's atmospheric sometimes,
Now, where are you two from originally? Are you both from this area, or?
I was born in Florida, but my mom was born and raised in Sparta.
Yeah, I was born in Detroit, and I moved here when I was a kid, so I live in Sparta.
Okay, so you're both transplants, but you're both from the Sparta area.
Yes,
so
sir.
I want to play one of your songs and kind of give everybody the idea of what we're talking about. As you said, it's a little bit different. It doesn't fit in with what everybody else is doing, but that's the idea. You want it to be just a little bit out there. So how about if we do Blood Moon, and you tell me how that came about?
Okay. I guess it started with the just a weird bass riff I had, and that's pretty much the main part of the song. And then our stuff is we do bluesy stuff, and we do kind of the creepy spacey stuff, and we do a little bit of metal. And I'd put that in this, I'd put this song in that category. It's kind of a metal song.
And then vocals for your stuff, not really a big pressure to put vocals into it, or you just kind of whatever you think might work with that?
I wouldn't care if it was just an all-instrumental track, but the vocals add to it. I struggle with doing vocals. It's not my strength.
Mine either.
So
it takes a lot of takes to get the vocals where I can.
All right, well, let's share this take with everybody. This is Blood Moon. This is Watchers of the Fallen on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Each week we like to sit down and talk with a different group from the area and kind of share with you what's going on with some of the artists. And this week we have Watchers of the Fallen in with us. I've got Samson and Hunter in tonight, and they make up the band. They're just a couple of guys who are trying something a little bit different from some of the other stuff that we've had. You're more in the experimental area. You just kind of throw it out there. If you like it, it works. If not, you just toss it. What happens with your ideas?
Well, a lot of our songs are just off the cuff. He'll play some catchy little rhythm, and I'll just ad lib, or we've got some lyrics written down. We'll try to make something out of it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Does it get written down, or is it just saved to tape and you go back and listen to it then? Or
well, the first album we there were some songs we just made up as we were playing them, and a lot of them were deleted, but some of them worked. The second album we're working on now and almost finished with is more planned. Almost everything's written, the lyrics and the chord progression, so it's a little different approach on the second album.
It's the kind of album you want to sit back on the couch and sort of veg out to late at night by yourself. You know, it's a bit of a ride, you know.
So it's a little bit more technical on this go-round then? Is that what I'm
the
hearing?
second album.
Much more polished.
You guys started out with a tape recorder, just catching things. Have you moved up to working with software and computers now? Or
Yeah.
between the two, do you kind of miss going back to the tape, or?
I think Samson really liked just the freestyle kind of jam.
I was a big Jim Morrison fan when I was, a teenager, and still am, I guess.
Well, that was my next question. Where exactly your influences come in for the music that you're putting together? Where's
well, we don't like.
I hear
the
Morrison.
mainstream.
What else?
Yeah, well, Morrison, Pink Floyd, Neil Young, but I like Tool and some of the newer stuff too. But most of the mainstream I can't really get into. Even outlaw country, pretty eclectic.
What about you?
I've been listening to music for so long. I'm older than he is. What affects my songwriting, I have no idea. I've got everything from Sinatra to Sabbath. It's just hard to say.
That is a wide range.
I basically, almost every song starts with chord progressions. I'll put chords together. If it's got kind of a mournful or creepy sound to it, I tend to latch on to it. And that's usually the start of everything there.
And you don't just pull from your musical influences. You also pull from, I think the bio that I got from you said that a lot of the horror stuff that you like kind of finds its way in. So,
yeah, well, I was a shock theater kid. The highlight of my week when I was a little kid was 11 p.m. Saturday night, shock theater, and we'd watch the horror movies, me and my buddies. And I've read a lot of that stuff, and it seeps in on some of the tracks. Yeah.
So at some point we're working towards a soundtrack for The Walking Dead. Is that?
I would love to get a track on a horror movie or a psychological thriller or something. That would be awesome.
So I'm guessing Halloween's big around your house?
Well, my house, yeah.
Yeah, not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much for you. No. You're like, okay, can we turn on the light and record this song? Or?
I appreciate it if it has some depth. Yeah. Soulful. That's what I like to call it.
Soulful. Okay. All right. So nice little marriage of the two, though. You kind of work that out, and he kind of goes, no. Does anybody have overall veto, or is it just?
I tend to dominate the delete button, yeah.
Okay. So delete. It's always a good button. I tend to use that myself sometimes.
He's got a callus on that pointer finger from it.
All right, so some of the ideas for some of the lyrics and things come from those influences, and then I'm hearing some pretty wide range of music stuff, and we're getting more into the technical side of things. So as far as getting out and performing this stuff live, we'll talk about that coming up. We'll find out what their plans are for that, what they're working on for the next album, and more as we continue with Watchers of the Fallen on the 9 o'clock News Local Edition on Rock 93.7. It's the 9 o'clock News Local Edition here on Rock 93.7. This week we are sitting down with Watchers of the Fallen and discussing with them the music that they have been working on and more into the experimental area. They list themselves as alternative, and you guys, I was trying to find online. Do you have an online presence?
No, not
yet.
At
the moment. So
I've been concentrating just trying to finish the second album, but after that, I want to go on Reverb Nation and do all
okay, so there is a plan to do something online at some point, maybe head through Facebook or Twitter or something to where people can find this. So
yeah, I'd like to do a music video at some point too. I think that'd be fun.
Any ideas of what would fit into the video, or?
I don't know. With the weird subject matter, though, I think we could come up with something pretty.
Yeah,
crazy.
we've bounced some ideas around that are kind of cool, but we'll see how it goes.
Are we talking live action? We talking animation?
Oh, live action. I don't think we've got any experience with clay or anything.
It's the Raisins back for the Watchers of the
That'd be awesome.
Well, we've been talking about how your recording process comes together, how your writing process comes together, and with what you guys do and all the different melding of instruments. How does this work with just the two of you? Have you tried live? Have you done anything live yet?
No, we haven't performed for people.
Is that something that you're thinking about doing at some point, or?
We're really a studio band at the moment. We've been invited to open up for some small shows, but we weren't really interested. We're too much of a jam band, really.
I think we said early on that this kind of evolved from the whole acoustic setting. So I was just curious if it was a stripped down thing that maybe you had thought of, or.
I've thought about performing live. It'd be hard for me, though. A bunch of people looking at me on stage has never been easy for me, going back to my speech days and school. But.
So this is really just a love of getting things captured and then having the chance to share that with everybody.
Yeah, all I really care about deep down is just writing an interesting song. Anything that comes after that, that's great. I never planned on putting an album together when we started off. So.
And now you guys are working on your second album.
Yeah.
So how many tracks are you working on putting on for the second album?
I've got 8 ready to go. I only need 1, maybe 2 more, and it'll be out there.
Now, do you set your length? Do you look at it and go, okay, this needs to be a really long song, or, all right, that was 30 seconds, that's enough, call it a day?
No, we don't care however long it goes. We've got one that's a little over a minute, I think, and we've got one that goes about 9 minutes. It doesn't matter to us.
So whenever you get to that point, do you feel like you look at the song and you go, it feels right, that feels like there's enough there?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we'll listen to it and we'll feel like, speechless for a while, and then later on we'll be like, that was awesome, and it'll haunt you day to day. You'll hear it in your head, and you'll have to go back and hear it again.
Yeah, while I'm recording, nothing really sounds that great to me. I'm always thinking it's going to be, but when I go back and listen to it, I'm sometimes surprised.
Usually in the morning over a cup of coffee, if it catches you, you got something,
I won't say haunting lyric, but it almost fits. We were discussing before we started, one of the songs that you've got is Time of Misfits, and there's a little bit in there that just kind of fits into that realm. Is that how did that song come about?
Well, Hunter was trying to come up with an album title for our second album, and I was just reading the list, and I was like, well, this might be good lyrics. So he was playing a catchy chord progression, and I said, hey, let me try this. And we took one take, and it just turned out awesome. Little echo on the vocals, and it just worked out great.
Yeah, they weren't lines that were ever supposed to go together, but it kind of worked.
Yeah, it was a bit abstract, but it was awesome.
All right, well, let's share the abstract, if we will, then. This is the Watchers of the Fallen. It's Time of Misfits on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It's the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Having a wonderful evening this evening talking with Watchers of the Fallen, a couple of guys who are just doing the music for the love of it. You guys, that's the biggest thing. You just want to be able to make this, and it wasn't so much about sharing it as it was just kind of sharing it with each other, and it kind of evolved.
Yeah, that's true how it started. We played music we wanted to hear.
It was a bit of an outlet for me. I had a rough patch 4 or 5 years ago, and it seemed like music was one of the only things I had at the time, But now, you get through it.
How did you start making music? Did you? What's the first thing that got you into to making anything with music?
I put him to work. He was always hanging around. So
there you go.
Here, stop cleaning and play this.
Yep. Started making me practice scales with him,
I think you said you did just mostly a little bit of the background guitar and stuff, but so you play the guitar then?
Yeah, I'm not that great. I'm pretty terrible, actually. But sometimes it works,
And then how long have you been playing?
I had a guitar in high school way back in the 70s, but I never had lessons, and I'd always get to a point, and I'd never get any better, and I'd put it down, Finally, about, 7 years ago, I bought a Stratocaster, and then suddenly I could sit for hours, and my hand wouldn't cramp up, and I wouldn't get tired, and I just kind of hit a new level, and suddenly it was a lot more fun than it used to be.
So we've added in that, and you said you've got a spare set of drums around the house that you kind of throw in every once in a while, and you've added in a bass now, so any instrument that you're just like, what would really help this sound the way we want it to?
I wish I could play a flute.
I honest to goodness, was waiting to see if you were going to say a theremin. I really was waiting to see if I was going to hear that. The sound of the little sound things that they used to use. That's called a theremin. So.
Hey, I'll try.
I picked up an E-bow not long ago, and I just love that thing. It can sound so mournful if you play it the right way. So
we are looking at a few different things, and are these going to be popping up into the album then? Or
yeah, on the second album. Anyway.
Second album. Anyway. So we have goals. We're looking to get the second album finished up, and at some point making it available online. If they want to get this for themselves, how do they get a copy of this?
Well, I've got some copies of Dreamscapes, our first album. They could email me. I'll mail out some of those.
Okay. You comfortable giving out your email address?
It's hunterl@multipro.com.
hunterl@multipro.com. Yeah, and at some point, you guys will have something added web-wise, and when you do, I'll share that with everybody through my Facebook and stuff. So appreciate you guys coming in to talk to me and tell me a little bit about your music and what goes into it and where it comes from. And excited to hear what you're working on for the next round of that. In fact, we've got a couple of tracks from you that we're going to be adding in. So looking forward to that. So Watchers of the Fallen, somebody to watch for, and we'll share more with them when the time comes. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for having us, Greg.
This is awesome.
This has been the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7.